There's no doubt that the smartest thing that Amy Pauly did after the first Pro Volleyball Federation season was use her old USC connections and get a hold of Brittany Abercrombie. Fast forward to the end of the second PVF season, and Brittany Abercrombie and Amy Pauly are league champions. And congratulations, and thanks for coming on 900 Seconds.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You haven't had a boring Well, you haven't had a boring time since I've known you, which is quite a while. But I mean, the last year and a half, what a blur.
Yeah, it has gone by like really fast. At some point, we were in our last stretch of like 4 games in 8 days, and I looked at one of my assistants and I was like, I can't believe the season is ending, but I also like can't believe the season is ending. It felt so long but so fast all at the same time. And the two seasons back to back, not back to back, but it went by really fast.
Well, we've been trying to get with each other since the end of the Pro Volleyball Federation season, and it's not easy because of different travel and different things that we both had going on. But you, your public relations person said the Orlando Valkyries became the first team to go from last to first. Well, yeah, it's only the second year,
I know, I
but
know.
but you did get some really, really great performances out of some really good players. And let's start with Brittany Abercrombie because, look, when she was at USC and you were an assistant coach there, if I had told you this kid was going to explode and win Athletes Unlimited and then become a star in your league, you would have said, I don't think so. I think she might be a nice pro player. Fair?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't coach Brittany at USC, but just looking at the history of her stats and how she performed and how those teams did, I never would have projected probably based on that where she is now, but I've really come to know her very well and knowing who she is now, I'm not surprised in the least bit.
But you got really nice performances out of a lot of people who were good college players, but really stepped up this year as pros, like Azani Teeler and Lindsay Vanderweeder for two. You know,
Yeah, well, Johnny was on Indie Ignite, so she was on my team last year. She was our backup opposite for the Valkyries in the
oh,
first season. Um,
sorry, I'm getting my people confused there, but thank you.
no, it's fine because Z is one of my favorite people. So I don't care what team she's on, I will always talk talk well about her. Her work ethic is unmatched, and I think her move to going to full-time opposite has really benefited her. But Lindsay, I got great performances out of. Natalie
I meant to say Kaz Brown. Thank you.
Yep. Yep. Kaz, absolute lights out player person. She's one of our captains. And she came on with her best volleyball probably in the last month and a half of the season. She really took off.
Um, for you to have gone through that first season, which at times was torturous, I'm sure. And interestingly, though, in Orlando, you guys kept drawing people. Even when you were struggling on the court, you had nice crowds. And then you were able to retool the roster this year. And you probably learned as a coach, too. Coaching pro has got to be a completely different experience.
It is. I learned a lot from the first season. Not that I look back and thought I did anything terribly wrong. I think I just learned a lot more about practice structure, what to really attack in the gym every day, how to keep us better, how to keep us healthy. And I had a great group of players around me, like you mentioned. We brought in really good leaders, people that had experience playing at the highest level, and I thought we had a really collaborative gym this year to talk about how to keep our team on track and how to keep getting better as the season went on.
Was there anybody who really surprised you on your roster when it was all said and done, besides maybe Brittany?
I mean, I think the biggest surprise for everybody was Shannon Scully stepping up and being libero for us at the in the second half of the season. And she did play libero for me for 1 year at USC, but she's an All-American outside hitter at Pepperdine. And so I think just the transition for her, especially at the pro level, being like, you can't get tipped on, you can't miss easy balls. Like there is really no excuse now because you're wearing the libero jersey. And she took it in stride and she's stayed and got extra reps after practice, watched film. And so to me, that's kind of like a really proud moment as a coach and for a player to see her blossom in that role and probably the biggest surprise. Yeah.
And over the course of the year, you dealt with the usual assortment of injuries and setbacks and things you had to overcome. And I don't think we can overstate how big of a factor that is for in pro volleyball.
I dealt with some things that I never thought I would have to deal with as a coach. The first one, which is not a abnormal thing, was Georgia Murphy's ACL tear. But the timing of it was odd. How she did it was strange. I mean, she literally went backwards to set a ball with her hands, stepped funny, and her knee just gave out on her. And so that was a shock. And then we were dealing with some culture issues, to be quite honest. And again, I cannot speak highly enough of the people that I had around me to be sounding boards for how to manage that, what our team needed in those times. Really thankful that my organization from the top, ownership, team president, was really they heard us, they heard our players and what they needed, and they were really supportive about the moves that we made.
Okay, a couple things. So, um, Orlando to have faced Indy in the championship was a surprise to everyone. The person with the leading kills for Indy in the final was Azani Teeler, and so I'm saving myself here, because I was a but the Indy Ignite, a first year franchise, had a great season, and then in the championship, I mean, Brittany Abercrombie, 27 kills with only 3 errors and 62 swings. I mean, you know, I think on the wide scope of where we are in America with our opposites, I mean, certainly Jordan Thompson and Andy Drews are setting the benchmark, but there's some other really good uh, right sides, and Brittany has probably put herself into that discussion.
Yeah, I think if Brittany was eligible for Team USA, it would probably she would be in the gym with them. She declared her Puerto Rican nationality, I think maybe even in college. So she's been in their gym. She's been on their team. And last year she actually retired. I make fun of her because she's not that old yet, but she said she didn't want to do anything else with the national team and really focus on continuing to be strong and prepared for whatever professional season that she played in. So what I love is that American volleyball is getting to see opposites now. It's, very undervalued. I think it's getting there in college, but in club, it's a little undervalued. We don't talk about the importance of a six rotation opposite. But if you look at the two teams in the finals this year and the two teams in the finals the year before, it's the best setter oppo combos in the league. And so we have to start giving credit and respect to training better opposites and getting opposites out there. And I think Brittany and Ajani are two awesome people to look up to for that role.
No, and to your point, it was the same situation in love with the setter opposite combinations. And where it really made the biggest impact on me was last summer in Paris, watching almost every indoor match, every single USA men's and women's, and most of the others, was that you didn't have a chance to medal if you didn't have a badass right side. I mean,
Yeah,
and the top scorers, like four of the five top scorers, I think on each side were opposites,
I
and it's
believe
just
that.
that's
Yeah.
the way the game goes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Brittany is one of those players that when she doesn't coast, but she knows when to turn it on. And especially I think being a lefty oppo, even a little bit harder to stop. And so she puts on a show though, and she certainly did in the finals, luckily for us.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. Coaches, they go oppos and bros. Um, so, all right, so we'll switch gears here, and if you stayed with us this long, you're going to be glad you did because this is the better part of the story. So, Amy is married to Ahen Kim, the volleyball coach at American University, and before that, he had another college job. Then he went to Korea, I believe, to coach for a while, and he's back. So I've always teased her in the 3 years that they've been married that they've spent at least a few times together, and jokingly, and she's in Washington now with him, which all ties us into what you went through right before the Pro Volleyball Federation Championship. And I'll throw the softball up there and let you take it from there because I'll screw up the questions.
No, it's fine. I'm pretty open book, so I'm okay talking about a lot of things. And unfortunately, I had a miscarriage the Monday. I found out I miscarried the Monday before we left for Las Vegas, which our flight was on Wednesday. So, just the news of all of that, I was a little bit over 8 weeks, and it was my third miscarriage in 18 months. And
Oof,
so
oof.
it was really pretty tough news to swallow. I was really thankful Ahen was with me in Orlando at the time when I found out. But the crazier part, I guess crazy isn't the right word, but the hard part was what happens next? And what do I do? Do I go to Vegas? What's my body doing? All of these things that happen during all of that. And unfortunately, I was not miscarrying naturally. And so I had to get on a flight and go to Vegas. And I had a DNC scheduled for the Monday that I got back. So I flew back on Monday right after we celebrated the championship and went to the hospital Tuesday morning. Woke up and everything is kind of back to normal. But I actually did tell my team, so I'm usually pretty private. I didn't want to tell anybody that I was pregnant. I wanted to just kind of get through the rest of the season. But funny, a couple of my players heard me like puking in the bathroom and throwing up at the airport. I got really, really sick, but I found this out later between themselves were like, is something wrong with Amy? Like this is going on. And I had heard that. So I did tell them a couple weeks prior to that. I was like, I don't want any of you to worry about me. I'm pregnant, hopefully we can have good news and all of this. And so when I got the bad news, I shared that with them as well. And just again, perfect, amazing people to be around in this time. They said their I'm sorries, and I of course sent them a very coach like message where I said, this is going on. You will not treat me any differently tomorrow. We have one more practice before we get on this plane to Vegas, and we are going to stay focused and keep the main thing the main thing. And they all texted me individually, but the next day at practice it was business as usual. And it was very surreal winning. I think it was a little bit of a moment for me to go, okay, something good is happening and a lot of bad right now. And there's a picture of me like hugging the trophy, and that was on Mother's Day out of all days that we won. And so it was a very tough week and a half, but things happen for a reason, and I'm very faithful. And I know that if it happens, it will happen when God wants it to.
I've been doing sports writing a really long time. I've covered a lot. I've done a lot of interviews, and I'm pretty much speechless, except only to say thanks for coming on and the best to you and Ahen. And I know I'll see you on the volleyball trails this summer and in the fall as you prepare for a third season. And hey, what have you done for me lately? So you got to go ahead and win again. So, wow, that's amazing. Thank you. Seriously, for coming on and talking volleyball and then sharing that story, because it's amazing.
I think there's so many things that still, I don't want to say don't get talked about, that women go through, but there is all of these amazing stories now about women that are mothers when they're coaching. And through it, I kind of realized, man, what is some of the stuff that women are going through that don't get talked about, and some of the hard things that they do have to do while they're coaching. And so honestly, like if there's any other women out there that are dealing with it or dealing with having a hard time getting pregnant, I know coaches that are going through IVF during season, and it's just I have to give kudos to everybody that's going through it and sticking with their jobs and working these long hours. And just again, really thankful for the people that I had around me when I was going through it, and just fingers crossed that we get some better news next time. A championship and more.
Well, again, thank you. And everybody who has just watched this appreciates it too, I'm sure.
Thanks, Lee.